Hey everybody, Todd Michael here, founder of HomeschoolEdvantage.com, and I'd like to talk a little bit about 5 questions you can ask yourself before you start homeschooling. In this video, we'll cover considerations around the following questions. Why do I want to homeschool? What goals and expectations do I have? What resources are available? What are the legal requirements to homeschool in my state and county? And what are my options? Now I want to give one caveat. These are 5 questions to ask before you start homeschooling, but they also apply if you've been homeschooling for a while. Maybe you've gotten stuck, you're feeling frustrated, you're questioning whether or not homeschooling is a good fit for you. Whatever your reason, this is a great way to make sure that you can reset, focus, and get off to the most successful start to increase the possibility and the likelihood that you will have a positive homeschooling experience. So let's get right into them. Question number 1, why do I want to homeschool? Now this is a really important question, and for some it may come really naturally, for others it may take some time, but it's really important that you can define your why. And I want to break it down into 2 main categories. There's fear-based why, and there's hope or faith-based why. And what that means is some of the reasons for homeschooling are things that we're trying to get away from. Maybe it's the restrictions of public schooling or a specific issue with the school that your child has been attending or is assigned to. Maybe it's restrictions or complications with your scheduling. Those are things that you're trying to escape or get away from. And it's important to recognize that those are fear-based because while they're valuable, there's also a tendency when we're only using fear-based motivation to kind of have negative associations. So, well, I'm not so sure about homeschooling, but at least it's not this. The other subcategory are hope or faith-based decisions or motivations. And these really are the ones that you want to focus on, the ones you want to explore and unpack. There are so many benefits to homeschooling, and as you begin to peel back the layers and explore those positive aspects, that will help you not only be motivated and want to homeschool, but will also bring a sense of positive motivation to your focus. Your why should absolutely be a proactive, productive why, not simply, well, I don't know, or at least it's not these other things that I'm trying to get away from. Those are important, but we don't want to stop there. Question number 2. What goals and expectations do I have? This question will be closely related to question number 1. You clearly are homeschooling with a desired outcome in mind. You expect something to change, something to be different, something to be better when you homeschool. And it's important to articulate and recognize that. All too often, parents will start homeschooling with an undefined expectation in the back of their minds. And as they start to attempt to homeschool, they don't see the results that they expected, or the goals that they hoped would happen really don't play out the way that they wanted them to. It's important to not only define your goals and your expectations, but then to start to understand that if you want those to happen, you're going to need to match your actions to meet those goals, to meet those expectations. Maybe your expectations are something that are realistic, maybe they're a little unrealistic. And so it's important to really unpack, explore, and define them. There are so many benefits to look forward to. You simply need to keep focused, keep them defined, and make sure that what you're doing matches those goals and expectations. Question number 3, what resources are available? Now, I was homeschooled in the early 90s, and that was a totally different reality from what it is today. My mom had very limited resources, really mainly what was available in our local community and with our local county office of education. You now with the internet have access to so many resources. It can honestly be overwhelming. The worst thing you can do is research so much that you don't even know what you want, what you need, or what resources you're going to utilize. So when I say explore what resources are available, I mean relate those resources back to your why and to your expected goals and outcomes, and then consider what's going to help you get there. This could be people that you know who've already been homeschooling. This could be resources such as printed materials, websites, guides, courses. The courses we offer for homeschool parents are of course one that I recommend. They will take you through all of the considerations that you need to become the most effective educator for your child. Whatever resources you choose, make sure that you know how they relate to your goals, to your why, and know that you don't have to commit to using the same exact resources that you start with as you progress. Things are going to change, things are going to adjust, and that's okay. Question number 4. What are the legal requirements to homeschool in my state and county? Now, this is a really important question to consider. It's also important not to get overwhelmed. It goes back to our fear-based motivation that we talked about at the beginning of the video. The legal requirements in your state and county are probably very reasonable and something that you can navigate without very much stress or effort. The important thing is to know what they are, so you're not left to assume or fear or wonder. A great resource for exploring this question is hslda.org, link in the description. That is going to give you an outline of the general requirements in most states, as well as specific requirements state by state. Make sure you're looking up the laws and guidelines for your state and your county, because it does vary, and it's helpful to know exactly what you have to work with. Above all, know this: there are people who were just like you a few months, a few years before, and they have figured it out successfully. Reach out to them, join Facebook groups or next door groups, or talk to local homeschoolers in your community. Find out how they have navigated the legalities, and you can successfully navigate them too. It's not as big of a deal as most people fear. We're going to get to the last question in just a moment, but I want to take a quick pause to talk about some free resources we have available on our website. Link in the description. We have a free 14-page digital homeschool planning toolkit. This is something you can print out and fill out hard copy or type in digitally. This has things like daily planner, lesson planner, reflections on your year, budget planner. So many helpful tools to help you stay organized around a lot of the things that can easily get lost in the shuffle, and it's all for free. Go to homeschooladvantage.com to get your free download today. But first, let's get on with the rest of our list. What are my options? We've talked about your why, we've talked about your expectations and goals, we've talked about your resources and legalities. Now we want to talk about all of those put together. What are your options? What can you do to homeschool your child? Now, one thing a lot of homeschoolers can easily become confused about is there are many different methods and approaches to homeschooling. Classical, Charlotte Mason, unschooling, there are many of them. But what's important is to understand what each of them are, understand what they look like, and then know that you have time to explore them, to try them out, to see what works for you. You may end up choosing a blended model that pulls from all of them. You may end up creating an approach all your own that resembles some of these others, but really is unique to you and your family. What's most important is to know that you're covering all your bases with the legalities, that you're meeting the needs of your child, and that you're using an approach that works for the needs of your family. If you happen to be a really structured and rigid family and that's what works for you, by all means, find an approach to homeschooling that fits with that. If you happen to be a more flexible, carefree family, go with that. Do what fits with what's already working in your family. Homeschooling is an extension of parenting, and nobody should stretch their homeschooling outside of what works best for their child. What works for you and your child is what is best. Full stop. And yes, your neighbor, your sister, your cousin, you're going to come across people who have a totally different approach. And that's actually a feature, not a bug. One of the most beautiful benefits of homeschooling is how flexible it really is. Everyone can get their needs met. There are so many options, and nobody has to use a one-size-fits-all approach. So there you have it. There's our list of 5 questions to ask yourself before you start homeschooling. Again, those questions are: why do I want to homeschool? What goals or expectations do I have? What resources are available? What are the legal requirements to homeschool in my state and county? And what are my options? I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please like and subscribe, and be sure to comment below and let me know how long you've been homeschooling. If this is your first year, please let me know. I want to encourage you and celebrate you. I know it can seem overwhelming, but you're on a great course and you've made a really good decision for your family and for your child. Thank you for watching, everybody, and happy homeschooling. Have a great school year.